Hey everybody, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna make a tutorial about making layout and camera movement. We are gonna analyze this storyboard and then we're gonna go in 3D in Maya and learn first how to do a clean and nice framing and how to improve it from a storyboard, and then to do all the camera motion to make sure it looks as good as awesome. I took this scene from Ratatouille, one of my favorite movie from Pixar. Obviously, guys, I couldn't find the original storyboard, so I take some of the frame from the movie. I kind of repurpose it, add some notes, and we're gonna use this one as a starting point. It's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. And here I take the liberty to add some notion here, some indication that is gonna help us to understand the storyboard. Sometimes when you guys work in movie or games, you'll have more details, animatic, right, with movement, timing and stuff like that. But in so many other production, you don't have this luxury. You just have a fixed image panel, and then as a layout artist, as a camera artist, you need to create the movement about yourself, right? And I think it's something very important to learn how to do it. And even for animator, I think this is something important. Every animator should know a little bit about it. So this is the focus that's going to be for this tutorial series, okay? For this first video though, we're gonna focus mostly on study the storyboard first, and then we're gonna move to the 3D section, alright? So this is this is the first panel of the storyboard, guys, and one of the things you notice, I always write here every time there is a camera cut. Okay, so this is a very important information, because if you don't do that, it's gonna be very easy for the layout artist kind of misunderstand and not having a clear idea anytime there is a cut or maybe a camera movement or stuff like that. Many times it's very clear, but there could be opportunity where there might be a confusion, right? And when you're doing a storyboard, you want to do as much as information to the artist, so they don't have to come back and ask you, hey, what I need to do here, what I need to do there, right? Everything information should be here ideally, and we're gonna start to discuss how to read the storyboard as well, all right? So if we're starting on cut 1, normally you see the framing here. If there is no any indication, that means the first frame of your animation should be like this. In this case, you have Remy, the rat, right? Like it's kind of looking forwards toward the letter, right? And then we're having a second information where he has the letter here in his hands and kind of look towards the camera. So here, because there is no meaningful indication, it means that this is more or less the first frame of your sequence, and this is supposed to be the last framing of this cut. Instead of, when we are going for cut 2, you see there is an indication here, open. Well, that means that at the beginning of this shot, probably we want to have the door fully closed, and in this cut, having the character coming in forward and kind of pointing towards Remy, right? This other indication, means that at the end of this shot, at the end of the second cut, we want to have the character coming out of frame. So you see the arrow coming this direction, it means it's kind of running towards us, towards center right direction, okay? Now getting to cut 3, again, here is Remy is not very visible, but it's supposed to be here. This is the exact framing that we want at the beginning of camera 3. Then we're gonna have the character coming in and Remy kind of jumping down, okay? We're gonna have obviously the character here smacking on the chair, where Remy is actually, is coming out. Obviously, because the character movement is going to be a bit of messy, the camera should follow slightly the action here. But as you can see, the camera framing is always quite static, okay? There is not any need for any major changing. Now we move to cut 4, right? And again, we have the indication that the character needs to come in. The door looks like to be slightly open, so it means at the beginning, the character will not be into the scene. Then we have the character jumping down to the stair and running away this direction, all right, with the camera panning. Now, see, this is the confusion where if you don't write that this is the same cut, someone else would have think that this could be another cut, right? Instead, if we are making something like this, the indication can be done in multiple ways, but I did a simple camera looking back. It means from this one here, the camera will rotate back, and we kind of go back here to the stairs, right? And again, we're having here opening the door, and again, running forward, and again coming out of the screen, right? One of the things you also want to keep in mind, many times I will have the character coming in and coming out, because it's always better to have extra frame, and it's very common that during the editing, after the animation is done, the editor with the director, they will cut some frame here and there to make the editing a little bit smoother. But in animation, it's always safer to have a little bit of extra, okay? Same stuff here, we go on cut 5, right? I see in this case, the character is already more or less in frame. Maybe it could be a bit closer, these things will be handled by the layout artist and by the animator, but it doesn't have necessarily to come in frame. And here we have Remy going out, turning the angle here. In fact, in here you don't see it anymore, right? And then again, here you see the motorbike coming in from this angle, smacking the character, right? Again, cut 6, we wanna have the character coming in. Maybe it's gonna start very close from the camera and bouncing back and then standing up, right? Again, character 7, again, which is very similar to this one, as you can see, just different FOV. Again, it's coming in, right? It's talking to the bike artist, pushing him away, taking the ride, and then it's kind of turning around. Again, here there is no indication, but I think because it's the same cut, it's quite clear enough that it needs to do 180 turn around, right? And then it's gonna go towards the end and started to go towards the left direction. Again, here there is no indication that it needs to go out of frame, but it's always good to have maybe the character going a little bit more in this direction, and then the editor will cut it out, right? Here instead is quite different because we have the car here, as you can see from the right side of the screen, and we want to have the motorbike coming directly from behind the car, right? That's why we have the indication here. And here I put a stop because simply this is not an animatic, so we won't have any timing, we don't have any moving hold, we just have single panel. And I wanted to make sure enough that the animator or the layout artist knows that we want to have the character breaking in here and stay here for a little bit longer, right? Then we have this cut here, is a panoramic view, all right? The character is here kind of looking around, and then we cut all over the shoulder where it's clear enough that the character is kind of looking here to the right and here more to the left, right? And as you can see, while it's doing that, the camera is slowly zooming in, right? Until we finally reveal here the red, right? So here, normally when there is a zoom here, it tends to be more of a fast crush zoom, right? Again, this is not a cut. This is why it's very important to write here the number of cut, because you want to zoom in on with the focal length here on the character running, okay? This is when, again, you're cutting again here. You want to have the character accelerating. This is written here out that it's going to come out of the frame, so running towards camera, not precisely to the center, but more to the left, right? And here again, it's not a zoom out, it's a cut, right? And again, the character continue to come out. And here again, on cut 13, there is an indication where the character turn. So it means this is not the first frame of the sequence. That means the character is starting, Remy is starting with the giving the back to the character, maybe kind of running or something, then kind of stop and turn and looking back. Then we go back to the character, we still him running out of frame. We have another cut, you see how very nicely frame on the composition. And then again, you see there is no indication, so it means from here, the character turning and running away, right? So again, same composition here. Then we go from this cut here to cut 16. Again, the character here will be already in frame, all right? And is gonna go towards the left. Here, I don't think there is any indication to needs that it's going out, because here in the next panel we see it's not here, so it's gonna imply that it's coming out of frame, right? And here, when it's getting out of frame, we have the character here entering on screen, right? And coming towards camera, maybe passing by. We're gonna decide when we're gonna do animation, all right? So this is like, again, a very rough. This time I didn't want to give you too much details, guys, and together we are gonna first build those framing, okay, and then eventually move on to do all the transition and study how to do proper camera movement with correct timing, how to do the cut properly to make sure everything is flow, okay? For today, I'm gonna stop here. Sadly, I don't have a lot of time more to do tutorials, so I have to make them shorter over and over, but I hope you're gonna stick around because this is gonna be very interesting, guys, and I wanna repeat myself. For animator, I think you always gonna have an edge if you know and have a better understanding of camera direction and storytelling, regardless if you are working in feature film, visual effects, gaming. This is something that if you have it, if you know how to handle it, it's always gonna give you an extra edge on your job. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this tutorial for today, and see you next time. Ciao.